Alright, hello everyone. This is Brave Sir Robin coming to you with another EV Online video. This is one of a battle of me playing against Game Geek 2. I'm playing as the Carthage, or Carthage. Game Geek is playing as the Getai, or Getai, sorry. And this is sort of a new idea that we had, or actually it was Game Geek's idea. And that was that we would play a battle, fight it out, and then afterwards, since we both do commentary videos, and we're playing each other, I would do a commentary from my point of view, and he would do a commentary from his point of view. So be sure to check out his video. It should be on his channel after you see this one, if you haven't already seen this. Okay, so for this battle, I've gone very infantry heavy. I've taken 2 units of Numidian archers out in the front. I've taken 4 units of the Libya Phoenician infantry, who are basically the Carthaginian equivalent of hoplites, slightly cheaper. To anchor this line, excuse me, I've taken a unit of the elite Libya Phoenician infantry. And this unit also contains my captain. These guys are really great. They're elite infantry. They have spears and they also have axes as their secondary. Behind this main line, I've taken 2 units of the Mora infantry, who are actually skirmishers. The infantry in the name sort of lies. But they have long swords as their secondary, so they're pretty useful light infantry in melee as well. 2 units of the elite African infantry, who are basically not true elites, but they're modeled in the Roman style, and they're very good. I've taken 3 units of the Iberian assault infantry. Any army I make with Carthage is generally going to have these guys. They're one of my favorite units in game. 2 units of Iberian Scutarii, or Scutari, the medium spearmen, help protect against cavalry on the flanks. 1 unit of Balearic slingers in the back. And then 2 units of Balearic light infantry, who are elite skirmishers. They're a little bit better, a little bit more heavily armored than the Mora infantry, even though there's fewer of them. And I believe they have a better javelin attack, or at least a more accurate javelin attack. The 1 unit of cavalry I brought was a unit of Sacred Band cavalry. And the battle just starts off with a missile duel. I hate playing against the Getai. I love Carthage, but I hate playing against the Getai. They're one of my least favorite factions to play against, for several reasons. The first is that they can bring a lot of really good range units, so you know they'll torch you with these. The Getai Toxotai, the Dacian archers, are much better than the Numidian archers, even though they're approximately equal in cost. The second reason I hate playing them, they have really good skirmishers. Again, they have that qualify basically as medium infantry, and if you're not careful, they can really torch your flanks with javelins. They also have very good cavalry, probably the best cavalry of all the barbarian factions, in fact, not counting the steppe factions. And last, because they have such great range units, you don't really get a chance to fire on the Drapani or the Bastarni. And these are the Falks units who don't wear any shirts or any armor, of course. They were traditionally the religious fanatics, and therefore they have very high morale. Discipline's sort of low, but they have a very high attack, and it's tough to kill these guys in melee. You really need to get in some javelin volleys or some archer volleys. I know I wouldn't win the archer war against the Getai, so I just brought a lot of skirmish type units instead to hopefully counter those guys. Anyway, so Game Geek's taken 2 archer units as well. He's taken 4 units of Taquitos, the Celtic axemen out in front. He's taken 4 units of Comatai Epilectoi, Dacian elite skirmishers, 4 units of Drapani, the aforementioned Falksmen, the general's bodyguard unit of the Getai, which comes in a higher unit size than most of their bodyguards. They're pretty good charge cavalry. He's taken 4 units of Thracian Hibais, the Thracian light cavalry, who are basically more of a medium cavalry. And then he has a unit of Catistai, Dacian noble cavalry, who are a heavy cavalry slash horse archer unit, much akin to the steppe nobles you'd expect to find. And yeah, I hate fighting the Dacians or the Getai. I tend to lose a lot of battles against them compared to other factions that I fight. Well, let's fast forward to this missile duel. It's going to end with him winning. Both of us run out of arrows, more or less. Gengi did recently change a couple files relating to missile ammo for horse archers and foot archers. We're trying to balance the two of those so that foot archers are a viable counter to horse archers, yet they absolutely don't massacre them like they used to. It basically involved lowering the ammo on foot archers. So yeah, alright, so I move up, go back to play here. My goal in this battle, and I'll just sort of go through my strategy, was to form a line of these guys, the Libby Phoenician infantry. I didn't expect taquitos in the front line. I expected something without an armor-piercing attack, and that's why I sort of went with these guys. They won't fare well against taquitos. They would fare well against, for example, the Getai, which I like to use as the Dacian main line, or the Getai main line. So I really wanted to just form a wall with these and operate my heavy infantry around the flanks. The elite African infantry are a really good sort of in-betweenish unit that can function either as flankers or protecting the main line. Obviously, the Iberian assault infantry are assault units. They're great at attacking the flanks. And then I have a lot of good light infantry in the Mori and the Balearics to swing around as well. I really didn't go with much cavalry in this battle, but the cavalry I did take is one of the best cavalry units in the game. Sacred Band cavalry are phenomenal. Anyway, okay, so you can see I move up here. Sort of have a little standoff here for about a while. His Getai move around the flanks. I can't really worry about them too much. I don't have anything that can catch them. And by the time my Sacred Band cavalry eventually would catch up to them, they'd probably actually lose in melee because they'd lose so many to the arrows. So that's not worth it for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send these archers over here. My hope was that he had these guys with fire at will and skirmish mode on, so that they would just start firing the weak arrows on these guys who already are out of arrows. And even better, if they had skirmish mode on, they'd just run around, and while I attacked, he would lose track of them, and that's his most expensive unit. That's his most important unit in the battle, too. So anyway, what I did here was I moved these guys into sort of like an oblique line here in guard mode. Basically giving away that I'm going to attack this side and try to protect this flank. Now I didn't really do this very well. I don't know why. I guess I was just trying to rush it while his Getai were engaged. But I did a pretty poor job of this. And you can see I have lead African infantry just running out here, support, my Iberian assault. I really haven't created a nice, I like to create like a nice little curve around this edge here. And I wasn't able to do that for whatever reason. I think I was just rushing it a little. Anyway, you can see the Iberian assaults go in here, try and get some javelins off on these Draconi. Do manage to get a volley. They'd already engaged, so it wasn't really that effective. Again, these guys are just standing here. I'm not really sure what's going on. I think I was trying to micro all these units in the back. Oh, and pull this flank back around into a protected position. But what happens here, these Iberian assault infantry get engaged. You can see their numbers go down really quickly against Draconi. Oh, he also tossed the javelin volley in some of the taquitos right into their back. That's what happened. They routed almost instantly. Even though they're a very high morale unit, I don't think they have the highest discipline. So his Draconi, he's already routed one of my best infantry units, and he's swarming into my skirmishers. Thankfully, they're skirmishers with swords, so they can fight off the Draconi decently well. Here comes some more Draconi. Here's my second mistake. These lead African infantry I send out on a wild goose chase, and they take a charge in the back, and then his Thracians are going to fire a lot of missiles into their flank. And they're pretty much going to, sorry for that, they're pretty much going to instantly rout. You can see that happening right now. There they go, they've broken. So anyway, I did manage to rout this unit of Draconi. I brought these Belarak infantry around the flanks here and tossed some javelins in there. They're very bad against javelins. You can see he moves his Dacian bodyguard cavalry in, and this is his big mistake, I think. He engages these guys too soon. These guys are skirmishers, but as far as skirmishers go, they're pretty heavily armored. So they'll stand up to the cavalry charge. And this engagement is also, I have some Belarak slingers here. I have these more infantry who have routed the Drapani, and now they're about to toss javelins into whatever they can get a hold on. Moving my Sacred Band cavalry around. What he does is he pulls his general's bodyguard out. They've already lost about 10 men, and here comes some javelin volleys as well as the stones. And you can see their numbers start to dwindle. There you go. You can see that. That's pretty devastating. He needs this unit not only for the morale boost from being a general's bodyguard unit, but also the captain. And I got a good charge over here with my Sacred Band cavalry, and that hurts his Thracians a lot. In fact, it actually routs one. Thracian light cavalry, they're good in melee, but they don't really have the best morale or discipline, so they can be pretty easily routed. And meanwhile, these Sacred Band cavalry are nasty. They're going to form basically a wall. And you see one cavalry unit holding off three. In fact, they've already routed one. Now the battle's sort of breaking down. You can see my Libya Phoenicians here. They're in guard mode, but they're doing very poorly against the Axemen. I'm bringing some more Scutarii around the flanks. He's sort of mobilizing all his infantry here. I have a lot of light infantry here fighting against the Drapani, for example. And there you see one of the most important moments of the game. His captain is killed, probably by a volley from the Belarak slingers, who are my favorite unit for killing captains. And that causes a rout here. Two of his units rout. I think a Epilectoi unit and probably a Drapani. Yep. My Sacred Band cavalry are still holding off these Thracians. In fact, they've only killed a couple. They're having a really tough time. And that's giving me enough time to bring my Scutarii around and into position to help them win this battle over here. Now you can see I'm shooting a unit of Libya Formation infantry that I pulled off of here into this gap where I can engage these Dacian elite skirmishers. And I'm trying to again form some sort of barrier here. Considering his cavalry are trapped. Now here come the Scutarii, and that's going to force him to pull his cavalry out of this engagement. Meanwhile, my Belarak light infantry and the Scutarii are sort of fighting the Drapani to a standstill. Drapani kill really quickly. They're also really cheap. That's one of the main advantages that Getai has. You might want to readdress that, at least the price. I'm thinking they cost around 1,000 right now. I'm thinking maybe 1,300 would be better for them. But anyway, because I bring the Scutarii up, I'm able to take my cavalry out and grab this unit Drapani from charging back. That's a big moment in this battle too, because now these Scutarii can sort of pursue this cavalry around here. These infantry, although really beat up, are free. So now just toss javelins at these Drapani charging in. Every kill you get on a Drapani probably saves one or two men from yours from being killed, if you can kill them with yourself. And you can see some of this infantry I pulled off this flank, now running into this gap here. He does rout one of these units of Belarak. There was only one man in the unit though, so I'm not really too concerned about that. My Scutarii are out here. And I get swarmed here, but this is one of my favorite things about Scutarii. They're being swarmed. There's only 16 men. They're wavering, you just can't break them. They are incredibly tough anti-cavalry units. In fact, you can see them killing a couple guys and then you can gain a chevron. And this gives me just enough time for me to bring my Sacred Band cavalry in for yet another devastating charge on his Thracians. Again, a lot of kills. They do rout, but not quite in time. And now I have a fresh Scutarii unit to bring in as well. Back over here, a big engagement over here between Taquitos, and I have some Iberian assault infantry and more infantry, all depleted. My infantry is fighting over here, I'm sort of winning this battle, and even better yet, I get a charge from the Sacred Cavalry. And I managed to do this twice in this battle, where I'd beaten off his Thracian cavalry with three or more units of Thracian cavalry with 1 unit of Sacred Band cavalry and support from Getai. And then, as soon as he ran away, turn around and charge his infantry in the back. And that was really critical towards me being successful in this battle. And now you're going to see the Thracians swarming into the remaining Sacred Band cavalry. There's only 16 of them left, so they can't stand for long. But they're also getting trapped behind all my other infantry, who are freed up after I charged and brilliant these guys. Now I'm sending a reserve unit of elite Africans in. And at this point in the battle, especially after most of these Thracians break, I thought I had this battle well in hand. And that it would be an easy victory from here on out. And it doesn't prove to be the case at all. I think I don't know if I got overconfident or what, but anyway, you'll see what happens. I think I forgot about the Getai, actually. I should have been firing at the with the Balarax, but I completely forgot about it, and they ran out of ammo. Anyway, you can see me engaging. He pulls off some Thracians to attack the flank of my elite Africans, but Thracians don't do very well in melee. And also, here's another thing that helped him. He had a lot of units for swarm over here beyond that tree line, and I don't think I noticed them really. And he kept streaming units back into the battle that I completely forgotten about. Here he gets in a charge against my Iberian assault infantry. You can see a couple of units flying, but it wasn't a very successful charge. I don't think he got the spears down, so they managed to hold. You can see that I've pulled my guys out of guard mode and I'm engaging his axemen. Here's those elite infantry. Here comes Getai in, I think, for a better charge. Actually, again, it wasn't really a good charge. These guys are still alive. It's giving me time to bring these guys, as well as the Sacred Band cavalry, back. And what I try to do here is actually, I should just charge into the back of these guys. But I don't know why, but I decided to shoot this gap and hit the taquitos here. I saw they were shaken, and I wanted to basically just end the battle here. So I go in for a charge. It doesn't break them. I don't have enough cavalry at this point, and he hits my guys. In fact, he kills a lot of the Sacred Band cavalry along with a lot of my Libyan elites. I just pulled them out. And they really can't do much at this point in the battle. There's only 4 of them. So that was tough. That was a bad decision by me. And then all this infantry that's bundled up over here, these additional skirmishes are really tough to kill. Are getting hit back by the Thracian mites that have reformed. I do manage to break with the that reserve unit of elite Africans here. But he's beaten my main line of Libyan Phoenician infantry, and you can see the Getai still almost 2/3 of the unit, more than 2/3 of the unit, and they're still moving around and trying to catch them with my Libyan Phoenicians. And this was the point of the battle that I said, oh, I might lose. He rides this unit and he gets the kill off on my captain who was in this unit. Again, my infantry is really strong and powerful, and I do manage to kill off these Komatai Authority, but here comes some more Drapani coming in. Here's my remaining Sacred Band cavalry, causing a couple casualties. But I think they get routed here. Yeah. Maybe just outright killed. I'm sure, yeah. So that's the end of my cavalry. He still has his Getai. And I'm swarming his remaining infantry, but he still has a unit of cavalry, and that's a big deal. Here this unit of taquitos gets trapped here. They're fighting to the death. He charges these Balarax, and I guess you can see the victory seems certain, only a fool could lose this battle. That basically stops them from breaking, because they think that the battle's won. Boy, are they wrong. They actually managed to resist the Getai. And I didn't really see much that he had left at this point. I saw a couple units of infantry that I thought I could easily beat. And a unit of cavalry. Yeah. I try to pull this unit of Iberian assault infantry because I saw his cavalry gunning for it. I don't get them away in time. And this attack just gets them parked up before, so they probably won't be able to Anyway, so now I'm just sort of trying to chase his cavalry down, but again, he's got more units of taquitos reforming. He's got some Getai Eleptoi coming out of the woods. I didn't notice any of these guys, and he might have actually noticed them a little bit late too, but that's besides the point. So I bring in these elites, charge into the rear of the taquitos, and that routs them. And now again, he doesn't have too many units remaining here. Send my fire in his cavalry. And he's got some taquitos here, firing. He manages to pull this guy out again. I had really bad luck in actually killing this guy when I managed to catch them. It's like every time I caught them, they would just squirt away. Alright, so basically I'm just reforming my infantry here. He routs my Ballyrac Slingers, which I foolishly engaged with Getai. And these Getai get charged by the Getai in the back. They don't get routed because there's Getai and Getai that make them out. They do get hurt pretty badly. Anyway, I think I'm going to... Oh, here's a unit of lead after infantry I'd almost completely forgotten about. And they're going to help later on. Anyway, this unit of Getai is here. You can see how chaotic this battle got at the end. Units running all over the place. I didn't even know he had units here. He probably didn't know I had units there. There are no more lines, obviously. This unit of Getai gets wedged in here between these Iberians who are coming to help the Getai and these Libyan Phoenicians. And I think I also got a javelin volley into their flanks, or I get it after they're running. And he's got a couple infantry units here, and it's actually pretty equal in terms of infantry power at this point. Actually, these guys break. These are just station archers he brought in. Sorry. Okay, I still have a clear advantage with infantry. He still has that annoying cavalry there. And one of my units breaks here. This Getai break. Finally, he probably said. These elite skirmishers are really tough to kill. And here he gets in a good charge against my elite Africans, or elite Phoenicians. And they go from eager to broken really quickly. Quicker than I thought. And now these taquitos are freed up. And in addition to that, we have these units routing. And I think this unit of Libyan Phoenicians is about to rout as well, as soon as these axemen hit their flank. And of course here comes a train. What a surprise. I can't do a video without a train in it. Yep, they break. But I do manage to get my elite Africans around here. So I only have 2 infantry units left, but what I have is elite Iberian assaults and elite Africans, fighting against Dacian elite skirmishers, only 10 of them, and taquitos. And of course this Getai. Now at this point I was just sort of watching the, I couldn't really do much. I was just watching the unit of the Dacian elite skirmishers and praying that they would break, and they did, and then the taquitos immediately break. Taquitos are decently strong fighters, but they have really bad morale and discipline. They rout really easily in chain routing. And on top of this, my elite Libyan Phoenicians is reformed. I'm just going to fast forward a bit here. I basically decide to just reform my infantry back into a line. And again, look, he gets more units reforming here. He charges in with his archers, and he gets a couple of javelin volleys off here. But he's probably not going to be able to beat my heavy infantry at this point. His cavalry are tired. He brings the taquitos back. This was the funniest part of the battle, I thought. This is a reformed unit of the Ballyrac Slingers. There's 18 of them left. They're probably the only fresh unit left on the battle. But watch, he brings his taquitos in around to support his Dacian archers, which are amazingly still fighting in melee. These guys are really annoying. And I charge the Ballyracs into their flank, and they immediately break. And that was amusing. That broke them. That also broke the Dacian archers. he charged his Getai against my elite Phoenicians, but they didn't break. And I think at this point he declares he admits defeat. Yep. So this was a really fun battle. As you can see, it was extremely close. I had almost nothing left at the end. A really good game to Game Geek. And I look forward to seeing his video and seeing what he thinks about this battle. Alright, see you guys later.